Okay.
But other than that, I think we're mostly here. I don't see Dan Hemingway online yet. He may show up later. I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't hear anything from him that he wasn't coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
One way or the other. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Great. Well, here we are. Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you for coming. So let's jump right in. Review and approval of previous meeting minutes back in November.
Only back in November.
So that's part of our packet. Yep. Yep. Anybody like to make a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second?
Motion by Rich, seconded by Nancy. Regarding the minutes, thank you for those that had a hand in generating
No,
them.
no problem.
They look pretty complete. Any further discussion on the November meeting minutes? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Rachel said yes.
Okay. Great.
Good.
All right. Thank you.
Russ, do you mind trying to say something? I don't know if we can hear you. You're muted now. Kyle seems to be on working. Yeah, this looks like he can hear us because he's trying to, but
Okay.
yeah.
As a test, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, thank you, Henry. Yeah. So it's something on your end, Russ. I don't know. Hey, Henry.
How's it going? So we'll just continue along.
Sure, yeah, I
Alright,
think
so-
we continue along.
Great. Financial updates, Pat, you have the floor.
So the P and L that you're seeing, takes us through the second quarter. Which is, the end of December. And if you look at the top line, you're gonna see the number per year carryover. I think this is the first time the district, after going back and looking at previous records, have ever been in the position of carrying over funds. I went back for the last 3 years, and there is an error on that report that you mistakenly received yesterday.
My apologies.
The fiscal year 23, we saw a negative. We were in a deficit of 13,756. Last year, we saw a modest surplus of 7,200. And excuse me, that was FY24. In FY25, we see a surplus of $181,307.
I don't think we don't have that, what you're talking about in the packet. I think I saw it.
Yeah, ignore it.
Okay, ignore it. Okay,
So, but that's the lead to the 181,287 you see on the top line. That is the carryover from FY25.
Doesn't that fog up your glasses?
Oh,
Carrying them like that?
glasses. He's asking if
Yeah, that's okay.
right.
I'm sorry.
I just think
I
that
don't see- oh,
fogged up.
Oh, now I see it. Okay. It was taking me a minute to see what you were talking about. Now I got it.
it should be a bit.
So, and it's basically the carryover of Ag CWIP and NHUD. Those are funds you've received. You can carry over. It does not impact at all the profit and loss for last fiscal year. It's a balance sheet transaction where you reduce your retained earnings and move it to your carryover income. So going down through, there's really nothing that stands out except for that amount. We are basically within budget on payroll. We have some pre-sale deposits we've made in the program and fundraising expense category. We have some contractual expenses in the project column. That's basically then Sabin Pond. That's a large amount of it. That's almost 25,000 for Sabin Pond. Going down through, really not much stands out, except in the Board of Supervisor stipends. You're going to see a negative amount. Those were the checks that were sent back by board members and have been credited against the bank account and against that expense.
The 1014, almost 1015.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, that was when we were meeting monthly, so it's a much higher number than you're going to see going forward. Dues, we've paid all our dues. Insurance, I still have not seen a second quarter invoice from the LCT for workers' comp. Have you seen that?
Passive sent me an email yesterday with, I think it was a number of things, but it may include, I'll forward it to you. I didn't have time to
Okay,
do it,
that's
but
okay. I know they were behind because they were making a major system change.
yeah. And they have not sent us our certificate either yet, which we kind
Oh,
of
okay.
need.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. The annual meeting under the meetings expense, total expenses for that were $23,4477. And we did see a modest income from that, $591. But I think going forward, now we have a number that we can include that in next year's budget if you are going to give another annual meeting.
Okay.
That's nice to know that.
So,
More than broke even on it.
pardon?
Oh, I just had been unaware of the number, so it's nice to know that it was not a net, cost.
So for the quarter, we were negative 39,679. With the carryover, we are showing a positive of 154,100.
I guess
Okay.
another question, just, without, especially without the carryover on the, on the income side.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a dramatic difference between the second quarter and the
Yeah,
first.
and the thing with the carryover, those are unexpended grants that we have received.
Yeah,
And it always goes back to grants overlap with our fiscal years.
yeah.
And we have different fiscal years we're dealing with.
Mhm.
And carrying over unexpended funds is totally acceptable as long as they are used for the purpose that they were granted,
Mhm.
which is going to be a large
Yeah.
part of that's going to be AgWit and NACD, and maybe Dan wants to talk about NACD later.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, but I guess just generally, the reason why the revenue is so much less in the second quarter has to do with the timing of grants or work that we're doing.
And for instance, there's a big Ag WIP invoice going out or went out
Friday.
yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it's all timing. And if
yeah,
you recall my description of our cash
Yes.
flow,
yeah.
it's quarterly. It bounces quarterly.
So
Well, I
does
just
it-
figured
yeah.
since Paul's not here.
He
someone
might as
needs-
well raise
No one
it.
needs to ask
I was so
questions. I'm
excited I
channeling
was going
Paul.
to show this to Paul.
Yeah.
Paul is a
Yeah.
board member who has a real hard time with negative numbers.
Yeah. So yeah, there's an IC-WIP invoice that we'll be sending out Friday for $53,000.
Yeah.
Which basically covers up that 39
Yeah.
that were in the hole, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
And again, the end of the third quarter will be in the same hole.
so
Okay,
But we do have those advances that we can carry over.
right. And so those are, so those advantages, so that's money in the bank as opposed to money that you have
flip
to,
To the balance sheet, it answers the question. of
As opposed
why
to
do
money
we
that you
So
have to
much
submit.
money in the bank.
yeah, yeah,
And there's your answer.
yeah.
and there were some questions that were asked about some of the district managers about interest collected on these, and as long as we use the interest also for the same activities, we're fine. So we can make money off of
Keeping
this money.
Yeah,
So long as we then apply it to the same activities, at least through the contract period. Once the contract is over, I think it's then free to be used how we like, but at least during the contract period.
So we had accounts receivable of almost 70,000 at the end of December. That was mainly, Storm Smart is the bulk of that. And I know I was a little sarcastic about getting paid in a timely manner from them, but they paid us within 10 days.
Yeah.
So we got the Storm
Yeah.
Smart money,
The LCDP.
Yeah,
right?
that's timely.
The prepaid expenses again are the website and the QuickBooks subscription that we accrue monthly. We had some small payroll liabilities outstanding. That's mainly health insurance because we pay at the beginning of the month and don't collect from the employee until payroll is done. So we're back to retained earnings of negative 38,000, which was where we were June 30th, until we moved the 180 some odd $1,000 from retained earnings to income. That's how that works. So right now, you're seeing net income in our equity, which is the balance on your P&L that gets carried forward to retained earnings. But the problem with QuickBooks is it's not designed for an organization like this. It's designed for enterprise and business. And if you were an enterprise and you had retained earnings at the end of the year of 181,000, you're going to share it with your investors and your owners. And we're not for sale. I mean, we don't do that because we are a municipality. We're considered municipal.
Yeah,
And I think some of the districts that have gone to a QuickBooks Online are struggling a little bit with that concept, but
thank you.
any questions?
If you want to talk about the NACD,
Yeah, we could. I'll let you lead off.
Yeah, so we have a series of NACD TA grants. We hold one from 2023. That's the last one that I think Cat got for us. And then we hold two more, but all of the more recent ones have been through BACD that's now applying on behalf of the districts as a whole. And so we don't manage those directly, but still have agreements. We have one for 25, and then I think we don't have one yet for 26, but they're putting in the proposal for 26. Anyway, the 23 one is expiring March 31st of this year. It's like the latest we can spend any money on it. We have not spent it all down, but they've advanced us all of the money. So we have about $30,000 that we're going to try to spend out as much as we can of between now and March 31st. And then whatever we don't, we have to get back, basically. So I'm hoping it will be a much smaller number than 30,000. I know there's a ton of NACDTA work coming up. So we'll see where we get to, but
So we can apply anything up until March.
up until the 31st of March.
Okay, so it might not be that bad.
That's what I'm hoping.
Might
That's
not
what
be
I'm
that
hoping.
bad.
Yeah.
so what are, I guess I'm curious why we haven't spent it down and also what are what activities qualify for? you know, these funds.
Yeah, so
I think
it's
it was staff.
it's staff turnover. You
Yeah.
have to be a planner, like an NRCS planner, to like work on this grant money. And we have had turnover, and then people had to get planner status. Like
Right.
Phoebe was never got planner status. Kara got it somewhat, but basically the end of last year.
Yeah.
Heather has it, but didn't have a computer to work on. And then the government was shut down, so we
Yeah.
couldn't really work with NRCS on any projects anyway. It's a variety of things that
Yeah.
contributed to where we are currently,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
And the future ones I expect to spend out more regularly than we have
Yeah.
been spending.
No,
on.
that makes
Yeah.
sense. It's helpful to understand.
So-
So, yeah, spend
And
spend down every
NACD's
dollar you can.
probably seen what we experienced in many other.
I'm sure they
districts.
have.
Yeah.
And they just, this is 3 years out from a 2023 agreement. They're like,
Yeah.
we need to close it,
Right.
basically.
Right.
So,
And rankings due for NRCS March 27th, so that times really well with
Yeah.
this deadline that we have for
Yeah.
March 31st, and we have to do a lot of work to get those things prepared for
Mhm.
ranking. So I think,
And all of that work you can bill against that.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
so it kind of works out in a odd way.
right. So that's the backstory behind that.
Yeah.
Again, hopefully it's not that much money that we have to give back,
Yeah.
but I expect we'll probably have to give some back. So we'll see what that number turns out to be.
Can you get equipment or anything with that, or is this? just-
No, because we didn't budget for it.
Yeah,
We only
okay.
budgeted for personnel time,
I got you.
basically.
Yeah.
I asked them that and they said,
Yeah.
yes, if it's in your budget, you can buy things, but it's not. So it's just time for staff.
Down payment on the district helicopter?
Yeah. Yeah, I get a giant drone.
At least a drone, a good purchase.
Yeah.
So I think as is custom, we try to approve the financial updates presented by Pat. So if anyone has a motion for that effect,
I will so move to approve them. Thank you.
I will second.
motion by Nancy, seconded by Rich. Any further discussion? So take home, we're in good shape financially. Okay.
Yep.
Great,
Happy to say.
excellent.
It is
Thank you.
really interesting because I went back to the retained earnings over the past 10 years and it's always been negative.
Oh.
So this was really unusual to get a positive mark this year. Not really. I mean, we can justify it with the Ag CWIP and NACD grant receipts, but
Okay,
and going forward, if we are in a positive situation, we will carry forward again.
in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for your work on this.
No problem.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes,
Ooh,
we're good.
now we
We
got
can hear you. Perfect. That's Russ, one of our board members who goes south for the winter.
Great. Well, I just want to pause to quickly go around the table.
Yeah.
So excuse us, but here we are. Welcome. Why don't you start us off? Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about.
Thanks, Rick. My name is Henry Harris. I live in Marshfield. I've got a farmstead there that needs some farmers. I'm a carpenter by trade and a community organizer. About to get back into some statewide community organizing for the 250th anniversary of the Green Mountain Boys being involved in the Revolutionary War. We'll see how that goes. I'm really interested in watersheds as being the community identity for people in Vermont to really help us understand how to have community and economy that's effective, and conservation work, agricultural work. I've been doing agricultural education, like pie in the sky, we're going to all have these amazing complex systems, agricultural education work with Lavia Campesina, the Vermont Agroecology School, and then worked for Jen Byrne last year in the White River District as her education guy, and we put together that big program at Vermont Tech. Now's the end of my contract with them. We're back to my real job. I could make better money. And, but I'm still really interested in this thing. It's amazing to be living in the biggest and most populous district of Vermont. And I'm really interested in supporting the work that you guys are doing.
Great.
Yeah. I don't know, well, how's that go?
That's great. So we just, to the extent that you want to put a name with a face, we can go around the table and you can learn a little bit.
Yeah, and
about
we
each
met
of us.
Henry at the meeting in Marshfield.
The local work group meeting.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, but Lucas Gold plus conservation specialist, watershed enthusiast, and tree planter and education programmer, and I guess a few other hats. But that's the brief synopsis. I feel like it's a good 1 or 2 sentence or.
Henry, we know each other. We met at Comp Planner 2 last year when I was with NRCS in Millbury and you were with the district. Thanks for coming to our annual meeting. Thanks for coming to the local work group meeting and voicing your opinions. We appreciate them.
Thank you.
We've also met Sarah, Sarah's the ag specialist.
Rick Hopkins.
Yeah.
Live in East Montpelier, supervisor for a bit, currently chair. I had been involved with the Natural Resource Conservation Council, which is the state agency that oversees the districts. I've stepped down from my chair position there. I'm currently the alternate rep. Central Supervisory Union is one of 6 unions at council. So I'm the alternate member. Kate Willard from the White River District is currently the supervisory union rep now. On the executive committee of the ACD. So prior to all this, I was employed with the state of Vermont in the Environmental Conservation Department. So during that 28 or so year period, I worked really closely with just about every district. So that sort of got my feet wet for the work that the districts do and would like to do more of.
Amazing. Yeah, we got to meet a little bit. There was the annual VACD thing at Vermont Tech during our program last year, and Jen sent me for the White River, and
Okay.
we got to meet a little bit. That's when she came in and did her little like legal platform on the big screen.
Yeah.
That time. And Jill was still director. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, nice to meet you again.
Yeah, Nancy Everhart, also in Marshfield, so our paths have crossed a few times. I was an organic dairy farmer a long time ago, Diversified Dairy, and on my farm, small farm, and then worked for, I guess, as the ag director at the Vermont Housing Conservation Board for almost 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I retired from a few years ago.
I did not know that. That's cool.
So lots of watershed and work, agriculture and farms are near and dear to my heart.
Welcome, Henry. Rich Turner from Williamstown. I chair the planning commission there. I'm a tree warden in Williamstown. Obviously, we've dealt with a lot of flooding, so a lot of water issues there. I've spent probably 4 or 5 years in contracts on 60 acres of family land, USDA NRCS contract for mainly wildlife habitat improvements and also water quality. Both loggers that had been on the property before we bought it plowed right through streams and wetlands and all kinds of stuff. So I've been repairing a lot of that over the years. A lot of fun. So I've been a supervisor for I guess a bit here now. Enjoy the work. I also on the board of commissioners of the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission. I sit on 4 different committees here too, but 2 of them are the Clean Water Advisory Committee and then the Winooski Basin Water Quality Council, where I see these guys, on the meetings too. So I really enjoy that work, especially being able to dole out funding for programs to reduce phosphorus and in the lake. So that's a really a really good and meaningful committee, and I really enjoy working. We have a really good diverse group on that too. I was ran the aviation program for the state. I was an aviation guy, the helicopter instructor pilot with the Vermont Army Guard, and search and rescue, disaster response, all the ice storms and flooding. We were kept busy for all that kind of stuff. And then went to the Air Force Reserve for search and rescue, disaster response for Vermont with Civil Air Patrol, and retired from the Air Force. I've got 24 years between the Army Guard and whatnot. One thing I love is walking around the property, and I'm always looking at stuff that needs to get done. Oh, I never trimmed those trees. I never cleared that out. But, I love like pruning apple trees out in the woods and all that kind of stuff. And I have a little different eye for branches and everything for, that could be interesting woodworking ones, and also like spalted beech and spalted ash and spalted maple, try to get it before it gets too funky. So this is the first pen that I've ever turned with some spalted beech. So this is
That's
mine.
beautiful. I was just admiring it.
Yeah, so this is so I want to do a lot more. I've got a lathe and everything. I just haven't got a shop set up yet. So, so I appreciate the woodworking side of that too. So welcome.
Amazing.
Nice.
Wow.
Pat Richardson, Finance. They put me on the agenda as Pat. They don't even put my last name.
Two online, maybe Russ, then Henry.
Yeah, Russ Barrett. I live in Northfield. I've been on the board for maybe 12 years or so. Worked for the Department of Forest and Parks for 40 years. My position was county forester in Washington County, which I did for about 20. The Conservation Commission, Northfield, Town Forest Stewardship Committee. Welcome.
Good to meet you, Russ.
And Henry. Oh, you're muted, Henry.
Name's Henry Bonges. I'm from Milton. I'm a board member here for a couple of years.
Great. And Dan Kahneman, I live here not here. I live in Montpelier, next town over. And I'm the district manager.
Right on.
So yeah, not here is Paul Hartshorn. Paul lives in Waitsfield. Paul's been a supervisor since electricity was invented. Yeah, he's been around for a while. But yeah, not that long. But Paul's been an invaluable supervisor from the Mad River Valley area.
You got a resume like you guys?
Yeah, he's logging, maple,
Sugar
and
maple.
sugaring are that's his background. Owns a farm family farm out in Waitsfield. Mary Beth, maybe.
And you see Jeff Quedos, an associate supervisor. He lives in East Montpelier. Jeff and I worked together a long time ago for DEC. We were together there. And, Dan Hemingway is an associate.
Jeff
So that makes like 8.
Oh, you got it on there? Okay.
I can mute. Oh, he's trying to come in. Dan.
Oh, okay.
Another associate.
So yeah, we got 5 supervisors and 3 associates. Oh,
You guys got some backup, huh? These guys are serious. Wow.
big district, a lot
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
Oh, not on.
There we go. We're good. Cool. So yeah, appreciate you coming.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Hold on. I thought I had. Give me a second. Oh, we're good. We're good. So I think we're at NRCC updates. Mary Beth is not here. She's getting back from being away, so I think she's swamped.
Okay.
So I think it's just you.
So you're just so that we're all clear. You're here to sort of understand a little bit more about who we are, what we do, staff, other supervisors. So, you want to become a supervisor or an associate, or you just want to?
Yeah. Dan was talking about, we were all having a conversation. We had a really good time at annual meeting because it was just us and a photojournalist. So we just kind of yacked a bunch about the
At the
district.
local work group meeting.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I
We were
said
at the
annual-
annual meeting
Yeah,
together
I'm
too,
just-
but.
Oh, yeah, that was the
Just
big
so we're-
event at the North.
Yeah,
End.
Right, just so
right,
everyone
yeah.
understands.
Okay, right. And, you know, working with Jen last year, who has a lot of knowledge about how this sausage is made. And it was, you know, I couldn't catch up with all the acronyms, much less really understand the superstructure with all of the different intersecting groups, you know, that you must be very familiar with. But yeah, I'm interested in becoming a supervisor.
Okay.
It would really help me. Putting that on my resume, I think is going to help me meet community leaders around the state, you know, as well as being able to be involved in the work here in the watershed. But I don't need to be a supervisor to be part of the work that you guys are doing. But it would be helping me to sort of like show my integration in my own watershed to be able to be going out and talking to people about their watersheds and their communities. So,
So
yeah,
do
just for
you
transparency.
understand the distinction between the associate supervisor versus supervisor?
Elected and appointed?
Yeah, elected, appointed. Supervisors can be appointed in the event that there's an opening. But yeah, supervisors typically serve for 5 years, associates for as long as they're interested. You know, if there's a particular topic, you know, whether it's financial management or riparian zone plantings, whatever the issue the individual has, I mean, I think we can accommodate a wide range.
Just to be frank, I don't, my resume doesn't hold a candle to you guys. I would love to be involved in this work deeply. I don't know what it would look like for a guy like me to be standing next to y'all. You're so steeped in the work and in your careers.
One of the things we did talk about at the work group meeting is help with development. And I think
Yeah.
community organizing plays a role into that in the sense that it helps us make connections and meet people who potentially might help develop the district. So I think that's a possibility.
That's what I try to do.
Yeah.
I try to hear what everybody's saying and find the common note and get those people together and do the collaboration thing, because that seems like that's what works for me.
Right.
So I would love to see, if I was going to be working with you, that my instinct would draw me to trying to create collaborations with public and nonprofit institutions in the watershed.
And I think that's definitely something we have a use for. I think we have a use for that. So that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not a board member.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our work, we're very dependent on grants.
Yeah.
And which is great that there is such a variety available to us, but on the other hand, grants sort of tie our hands in the sense that we have to meet the grant performance expectations. So there's not a lot of leeway for us to sort of branch out and do things that we feel are important to us as a district, rather than just trying to focus on projects and deliverables and satisfying the grantor. So, yeah, I mean, we're constantly looking for ways in which to, you know, network with towns and figure out what their interests are and how can we help them. And because not everybody's dialed into the grant process. And so
Right.
finding a project at a town, you know, does require a number of steps in advance to sort of bring the concept to a proposal, to funding, to
Right.
permits, to design, you know, and so it does take some time, but, you know,
Yeah.
certainly reaching out and letting people know we're there and what we do, capable of.
That seems like so huge for the conservation districts, you know, just that we exist and the distinction between NRCS and us and all that. And where we left it when we were speaking at the annual meeting was, what does the board and the staff want to do that they currently don't have the funding to do? Where's the enthusiasm? You know, what kind of, I think we talked a little bit about education work. And I think that another thing I would be immediately going towards is we're in a formal supervisory union with the White River District and trying to see what sort of coattailing on their programs we can do and collaborations that we can do with them because they've got such a big staff and so much going on around the state, and their collaborations with the Bennington district run really deep. So if there was any opportunity to take advantage of work that they've already done, you know, on the development and programmatic fronts, that seems like a natural fit. It sounds like you guys have been essentially too busy to really develop that White River Winooski relationship and have shared programs, you know, just trying to keep the wheels from the door. all the
It's
time?
a combo that it's partly that we each have our own programs we're running. It's also partly structural. As we talked about, funding sources that we can utilize are often not available to them because they don't drain into Lake Champlain, and much of our funding is tied to Lake Champlain based
Right.
work. And so, yeah, phosphorus and you know, other things as well. But that's been like a structural issue that's kept us from collaborating on projects. There's oftentimes don't exist shared funding sources that like are accessible to both of us that we could, you know, work on a project together kind of
Yeah.
thing. So that's held us back to some extent as well.
And then Lauren Weston's too steeped in all of that stuff with Lake Champlain to really do much to collaborate with us. But
We actually do collaborate with Franklin a good deal, less so with Lamoille, but some with Lamoille County, NRCD as well. I'd say those are the two that we probably collaborate with the most, Lamoille and Franklin.
Could we talk about Ag CWIP just as a grant in general? Because that's like pretty flexible when it comes to outreach and education. And I know there's deliverables associated with that and things to that nature, but I know it could compensate for Karen and I's time spent, and if Henry could do these collaborative endeavors. I don't know how this.
That's what I was looking
tie
for
into
for
that.
Jenny's.
That's the easiest. I think
Yeah.
the easiest lift is to do like an Ag CWIP collab with them.
I had the
Yeah.
same thought because I think diving into this new Ag CWIP agreement, we wanted to put more emphasis on workshops and trainings, and
Yeah.
that's something we
Yeah.
can definitely expand
fun,
on.
great.
And you know, a lot of people out there that are farmers and things of that
Yeah.
nature. So at least in the ag sector, I could see a need for that collaboration because we've been really trying to get our feet on the ground, meeting these people and making these connections, and having someone that's already been connected longer than we have could be a really great asset. But I don't know how supervisors fit into that framework, but I know that there's the flexibility for Karen and I to do that work. And it'd be great if we had support.
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea and a great opportunity, because I think maybe that's a good place to focus is on, you know, trainings, and it would be nice to see our district, you know, I think because of the ups and downs with the whole ag program. When I started as a supervisor, it wasn't an ag program. And now, so this district has actually not had an ag program for all that long, and then we've had tremendous turnover. So that's been really challenging. To, you know, now we have 2 full-time people, which is awesome, and there's just so much work to be done. But I think collaborating on trainings, which gets our name out there, and also, you know, builds stronger relationships with other organizations. That all seems really good and positive.
And I'm not sure if it's on the agenda, but have we discussed our current Ag CWIP proposal and what we're hoping to glean? And then that's
I have grant updates for my section, so I'll talk about Ag CWIP in that context. But yes, we'll get there.
Yeah, I feel like have a lot of big plans, and getting them off the ground is something
Tends
that
to
would
be
be
the
really
hardest
helpful.
part.
I would love to hang and talk about the kinds of educational stuff that you guys are interested in.
Right now, it's just ideas, as you said.
Are you about to get like really absorbed in the Envirothon? Does that take up a ton of your
That's
time?
me.
That's you.
Yeah, that was taking up a lot of my time. I've sort of scaled back since the recruitment has like dialed back a little. But I mean, I feel like with Envirothon, there's no like shortage of work that could be done. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's going well this year. I think 9 teams
Now
currently.
the homeschool team.
The homeschool team dropped out. Yeah, so 8 teams.
Yeah, but 8 is
pretty good.
still pretty good.
Once they
Yeah.
got a load of Emily Dahan's team, they didn't want to.
Right, yeah, no.
She was my science teacher.
Are you serious? Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I grew up in Troy. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
She's super psyched about it,
Yeah, she
which is
is.
good. Maybe more than the other teachers. So
Maybe so.
But yeah,
So again,
happy to
just
collaborate.
would love to get help.
there is that
Envirothon.
distinction, you know, associate versus supervisor. Everybody who's has interest has input, but it's really the supervisors on matters that require a vote. The supervisors get to vote,
Right.
Unlike the associates. So that's really the big distinct, and being elected versus appointed. So,
Well, to the extent I could get to be a supervisor and then be an ex-supervisor because we get somebody more qualified, maybe with friends with deep pockets or whatever the thing is we're looking for as we deal with that collaboratively, that works great for me. It seemed like there was maybe a spot that needed a bench warmer, and that seems perfect for me. And then we could try to recruit for, you were talking about some of the criteria for some of the longer term supervisors that you'd be interested in having.
Yeah, I think
Farmers and
we'll,
development
yeah,
people, right?
active
Yeah, we were
farming
brainstorming some about, basically gaps in supervisors.
expertise, yeah.
Yeah, well, just an active farmer is,
Yeah.
something I've been promoting, but, someone who comes in with development of fundraising background could also be.
Yeah, that,
So
and
those are
someone
two
with
of
like
the
a,
things.
a basic legal background might be helpful
Yes,
too,
and- right.
because we don't have any of that.
So.
But yeah,
but anyway, thank you and for your interest.
Yeah.
Good that you're here, and we can talk more as we go on, because one thing Paul Hartshorn has expressed his interest on stepping down as a supervisor. So we're obviously interested in trying to accommodate his interest to step down, step away, given his involvement for so many years, and then not have a vacancy.
Yeah.
And then Rich has also expressed interest in stepping.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So, right now we're operating with 5 full seats, fully occupied, but to the extent that we have 2 members that are willing to serve until their seats can be filled.
Well, that also sounds like a lot of fun. I would love to go to Chittenden and beat the bushes for a good candidate for you guys for a second spot. Except that it would mean maybe Rich thinks he can get away with leaving. Yeah, no, I should also say I'm the treasurer of the National Lawyers Guild, the former chair for the state of Vermont. But that doesn't imply a lot of legal network or acumen outside of the civil rights arena. Really.
Okay.
got it.
All right.
Yeah, because we also talked about the fact that we really need a supervisor from Chittenden County.
Yes.
No, none currently. Shouldn't do.
We have Henry's associate from
Yeah.
Milton.
Yeah.
Oh, right. No, right.
But he's associate supervisor, but right now all the voting supervisors are from Washington County.
Pat, where you live at?
Pardon?
Oh,
Where
Pat
do you
doesn't,
I live in Stowe,
Live in Stowe.
which is not in our district.
Memorial County.
So
Oh, cool.
But she's not a supervisor.
And I'm
Oh,
not-
okay.
she's not, yeah.
Oh, okay. So are you employed by the district?
I'm a contractor.
Yeah,
You're contracting doing the finances.
Yes.
Got it.
For districts.
for 4 districts, yeah.
Did you do it for White River?
She-
I thought we knew each other. Okay, thank you. All right. Yeah, I've seen you. I've been on the other end of the screen more than once. Yeah. Or maybe in the room.
What's your name?
Henry Harris. I
Oh,
was.
God, yes.
Your reputation precedes you.
I'll get his time sheets in on time.
Very true. That was my bank. Yeah.
Small world.
All right. Yeah, so if there's anybody on the call that wants to make any other additions to the conversation, but just wanted to,
Thank you.
meet you, explain ourselves a little bit, and,
Yeah. Sounds like fun.
okay.
Looks like fun.
Appreciate it.
So is this an appropriate time for us to take a vote
If you'd
to
like to,
appoint
yeah, do it.
Henry as an associate? Assuming you're interested
Yeah.
in being an associate,
Yeah.
or do you want more time to
I would-
digest what you've
I'm
gone through
here
today?
because I would love to figure out how to start the district. You guys want to make me an associate supervisor? I'm in. Sounds definitely in.
Sure. Well, if that's the case, I am comfortable making a motion to appoint Henry Harris from Marshfield as an associate supervisor.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Nancy. Further discussion on that? Nothing from afar,
I don't see anyone.
so hearing none, All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Welcome.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll be in
great.
touch about some info from you for our website and stuff, a photo and whatnot.
Okay. Do I have to sign something?
I think so.
Okay.
You give me your checkbook. and-
All right, great.
Well, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, our strategic plan is certainly out there, give you a sense for what we're interested in, where we're coming from, where we're trying to get to.
Great.
That's on the website.
We also have those spreadsheets in our metric reports, I feel like from the previous year that we gave it at the annual dinner.
Okay.
Might be good too. Or maybe, should we go over those in Marshfield? We've
I
got
think-
them anyways.
I think there might have been copies of them.
Yeah,
last year.
but those are, I feel like
Yeah.
those are good for
Yeah, it's a good strength.
recent work, yeah.
Okay. So I'll just quickly give a Natural Resource Conservation Council update. Yeah, I stepped down as chair of council on January 1st. The new chair is Willie Nickerson from Northeast Kingdom.
Sorry, I've known him since he was 10.
So yeah, Willie is the new chair. Kate Willard is the new Central Supervisory Union rep. I'm the alternate to Kate. We have a submittal, council submitted a proposed appropriation request to the Agency of Agriculture, $948,000 for FY27. So with the legislature just starting, that whole request and budgetary negotiation is just getting off the ground. It does represent a small increase over last year. Council decided not to submit a $3 million request, which I think, as difficult as that was, not to do that in the face of all the budget uncertainty and state money, federal money, we decided to just go with a 10% increase over what we were appropriated from last year, even though the $3 million request is sort of what the districts all believe we need distributed among the 14 districts to do the work that we're charged to do. So that council is switching its bank from M&T to Union Bank. There was interest in trying to understand. One of the district managers asked about the Vermont Municipal Employees Retirement System, whether district staff could be part of that MERS, Municipal Employee Retirement System. And apparently on first blush, Vermont leagues and cities or towns decided that the districts were not municipalities. So Claire is pushing back on that a little bit, bringing in the Attorney General.
Right.
That whole question that districts face.
VLCT considers us municipal when it comes to workman's comp.
Right.
And I think that's a key issue.
What was, instead of municipal, what would the districts then be?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, I don't know how to answer that.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And we are members of VLCT, which like suggests that we're municipalities.
Yeah.
We're members of VLCT.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, that does seem to be really good ammunition for a counter argument.
Claire knows that, right?
Green Mountain Transit's also considered a municipality, so, I mean, there's history of this vague area of what's a municipal for various reasons.
okay.
Yeah, good point.
So let me make a note here. So for Claire, VLCC
VLCT,
considers us municipalities
yes.
as a result of their unemployment.
Workman's comp.
Workman's
Workman's
comp.
comp.
Yeah.
Okay,
They
And
give,
their rates are exorbitant.
yeah.
okay,
Yeah, be good to just, presumably Claire knows that, but just in case.
I don't know historically where this all started. It sounds like it goes way back. And it must have been a deal that was made with the LCT and they absorbed most of the districts, I think. There are some smaller districts that are not members single employee districts, for instance.
Right.
They don't pay the exorbitant workman's comp rate that we do.
Okay.
And we can't find another carrier. We've tried.
Okay, so we did talk this morning at the Natural Resource Conservation Council Finance Committee about the Ag CWIP proposal. So that proposal is being submitted by VACD, not council. So there's that $5.5 million total request for 23.1 full-time equivalents. You know, so across the districts and council and VACD, total is 23. So that
So you're still on the finance committee?
I
As an
am
alternate?
on council.
Yeah.
No, still on finance committee, chair of that.
Mhm.
We've talked about it amongst finance committee and council members, and
Mhm.
they're okay with me still leading it. Willie
Yeah.
couldn't take it on.
Yeah, no, I just didn't know. It's great.
Yeah, so Claire, Willie, and I will communicate, you know, so
Yeah.
that we can still stay on point.
Well, I was curious about, not to interrupt your flow, which we've already done, but what is the funding for NRCC in the governor's budget?
Claire was looking for that now that the governor has made his presentation,
Right.
and she couldn't find the line item
Oh,
in his budget.
that's not good.
No,
Okay,
so she said that she would continue to dig
okay,
and maybe ask for help from folks with the Agency of Ag.
yeah,
It didn't jump out.
okay. Well, if it's zeroed out, that would be very
That's
concerning.
not great.
Because usually, even if it's a very small amount, there's been, correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't there been a line item in the governor's budget?
Yeah, very small.
Right, but something.
So,
And that Ag CWIP, it's a 2-year agreement is what we're proposing.
yeah,
Yeah.
whereas originally it was a 4-year,
Yeah.
and Ag CWIP money came to us sort of every year, whereas this time around it's a 2-year, $5 million.
And so is the request, does it designate how much goes to each district as part of the overall ask?
Yeah, we
Budget, yeah.
worked together, the three of us, to
Yeah.
put together our ask,
Yeah.
and then VACD just took
Right.
all of those
Yeah.
and merged them and presented them to the Agency of Ag.
Well, hopefully it makes it, does it make it easier to administer at this level with VACD, administering at the big?
Yes, they already do that with the current agreement.
Right,
So
right.
I assume it will be similar
Yeah.
to the way it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really all I had from council. So, unless there are any questions from afar?
No.
Okay.
It's not looked like yet. And no Mary, still no Mary Beth.
Okay. So, Winooski District Program Updates, Lucas, Kara, Heather, and Dan.
Yeah, should I take it away?
Go for it, Lucas. Yeah.
All right. So thought it'd be fitting to give a tree planting update, which is a good one. We got approved by VACD for 2 Trees for Streams plantings on January 7th, after waiting probably 4 months for an answer, which is good. So one of the plantings is going to be at Ethan Allen Homestead in Burlington, on Winooski Valley Parks District land, and then the other one is going to be at Mills Riverside Park in Jericho, on Jericho Underhill Land Trust land. The total acreage sums to 2.02 acres, and both sites are going to be volunteer plantings. And then I'll talk about the Quest project after, which I didn't include on here. So yeah, you can kind of read the brief blurbs. I won't read through the entire thing, but it's basically on Winooski Valley Parks District land, but New Farms for New Americans is leasing that land, and they are taking that out of cultivation, and we're sort of jumping in to put trees in the ground. The soil is like the best soil, like it's prepped, there's going to be seed dispersal, and it's, hoping to add on to that by putting a bunch of trees in. So that it sums to 1.65 acres, which is really a 1-day planting, but we're going to have like 30 to 50 volunteers come, which will be awesome. And I think they're all sort of part of the New Farms for New Americans program. It'll be great to have you there. Yeah, you should
That'd be
totally
fun.
come to both.
Is
of
there
these.
dates?
We don't have a date, a concrete date, but I believe it's May 1st is like when they want to do it. So finalizing that soon. They want to source trees from Intervale just because it's down the road. But honestly, I've been running into a ton of complications with stock availability. The Intervale is like near cleared out, it seems like. And so we're going to do like a half and half, some Intervale and then some from Verterra. And the nice thing about Verterra is they're still running that LCBP grant where a lot of trees are free to us. So we can, we've got some room to work with there. But yeah, there's definitely an issue with stock availability. So I'm hoping to put in an order soon. I was working this morning actually before the meeting on a finalized planting plan. So yeah, total stems is we're looking to do 675 stems, which is equal to 400 per acre, 120-foot buffer, and it's going to be 600 feet long. The Mills Riverside Park project was, I think, first identified by Vermont Land Trust, just because they work a ton with Jericho Underhill Land Trust. It's a small planting, but it's definitely an area of high priority. I think I didn't put the other picture of the opposite side of the river at Mills Riverside Park, but it's pretty incised, and they did try and do a tree planting there a few years ago, but it just got taken out. So this kind of like snow fence that you can see on the top picture, we're going to be planting after that fence. But it should be good. We've got a ton of like excited volunteers on board from both JULT and Jericho Underhill Parks District. There's just a good community there that wants to get involved. So small planting, but meaningful. And we are getting the trees from the farm upstream, which is down the road where we did a planting last year. So yeah, good planting and supporting a local nursery down the road that's trying to, get their feet wet. So, and you could turn the page over and you can see the polygon of where we're planting both of these plantings. I guess it's kind of hard to see in black and white, but you could sort of see it. And then I can also talk about the Quist project that we are hopefully going to do in the fall. Rich, you probably heard a bit about this already. We just got approved by the Basin 8 Quist to do a 4-acre planting on the Muddy Brook in Shelburne. And it's like right at the end of the Basin 8 delineation with Basin 5. But it's basically split between two landowners. It's full of reed canary grass, but we're hoping to do a spring site prep and a fall planting. We worked with Keith Ritchie at Basin 8 to do a calculation, and it comes out to 3.9 kilograms of phosphorus removed for this planting. And we are waiting on our certification from Vermont League of Cities and Towns, and then we can actually get the agreement with the Quist. And then once we get the agreement with the Quist, we can really start, working on it more and going out and doing a site visit, because the Vermont Audubon has got interest in this site as well. There's golden wing warblers and bobolinks that are nesting, and so we're going to work with them collaboratively to put together a planting plan. And then I anticipate that there may be some complications around finding stock for the planting, but hopefully going to do a spring treatment, herbicide and mechanical treatment, and then a fall planting. And another kind of cool thing about this project is we want to do like the Quist was willing to take an experimental approach for this planting. There's a ton of beaver activity happening there, and we want to sort of learn how to help these trees coexist like in an area with such high beaver concentration. So we're going to plant the trees, and then we're going to paint them with a mixture of like a quarter of the trees, paint them with a mixture of mason sand and latex paint. And we're going to cage some of them, and then some of them we're going to cage them and paint them and just kind of see what happens. And then some of them we're just going to leave alone. But it's cool to see that they were interested in experimenting with that. And just seeing they've got, like right at the end of the brook, there's like a culvert where town of Shelburne put like a beaver deceiver in. And in hopes in, you know, a couple of years, maybe we can do a strategic woody addition project there on top of that.
You know, those high frequency sound.
Yeah, right,
emitters?
yeah.
Those are usually used for woodchucks, but I wonder.
Yeah.
I think to drive them away.
We did talk
away.
about that at the site visit a little bit. This is sort of just like an experiment to see, like there was a stand of ash trees that they like. Is there a question?
I think Henry just left.
Okay.
I don't know if he tried to mute himself and left, but
Well, yeah, no, it's an exciting project. I'm excited to work with Audubon on this. It's not going to be like a grid or staggered planting. It's going to be more, it's going to be a little bit more designed than that with like little pockets just because of bird behavior dynamics. But it'll be cool. I'm excited to really get working on a planting plan and put this out to bid.
yeah, we're still, as I said, we're still waiting for our certificate of insurance for this year, and so it's holding up signing the contract.
Yeah.
with the QUISP.
QUISP is Clean
The
Water
Clean Water
Service
Service
Provider.
Provider, yeah.
And Basin 8 is
Thank you.
Winooski, Basin 5 is direct drainage into Lake Champlain.
Mhm.
So it's right on that border of Winooski and just direct into the lake.
Yeah.
Which is Chittenden County.
Chittenden County, yeah, so
RPC.
they're managed by the 2 regional planning
But
commissions.
technically this area is in Shelburne, but it's part of the Winooski QUISP Basin 8. It's like right on the delineating border.
Yeah.
So what's the water body that's benefiting? The immediate water body.
Well,
Muddy
it goes, I mean, I
Muddy
guess
Brook?
first, yeah, Muddy Brook and then Shelburne Pond and then eventually
The Winooski.
Lake, Winooski and Lake
Yeah.
Champlain. So.
Yeah.
It's
And
a few different water bodies.
It's a Macy collaboration. So Macy's
Yeah,
actually
so
working
Macy and Margaret
Macy.
Fowler. Yeah. So I want to get this first so we can, you know, or get the agreement so we can get out and do a site visit with Macy. There's a ton of interest. There's like, I mean, we've got the town of Shelburne on board. That they just hired like a stormwater coordinator who wants to be, you know, all hands on deck. There's the 2 landowners who are super psyched about it. There's Audubon. There's Vermont Land Trust. I went out there with Sean White, who's part of UVM Watershed Forestry.
Yeah.
And I just identified some invasives. I mean, there is significant, you know, reed canary grass and a little bit of buckthorn and honeysuckle. But it'll be an interesting like experiment. You know, it's an important tree planting for sure. So
Is Bread and Butter Farm one of the?
it's right
landowners?
across the road. It's like
Yeah.
kind of down the road. This is on Cheese Factory
Yeah.
Road, it's at the corner of Dorset Street and Cheese Factory Road.
Yeah.
And yeah, we initially wanted to do a 4-acre like contiguous planting, but it's actually 2 acres in length and a much wider buffer. So and 2 acres wide. So, no, it should be good planting. So I guess
Yeah, that's awesome.
2 acres plus 4 acres is we'd be planting 6 acres potentially. And we had hoped to get one more on the books with Shelburne Farms, a small like 1 acre planting that we were sort of having VLT coordinate with them, but I haven't heard much about it. So these are the 3 plantings that we've got locked down.
Perfect.
But yeah, no, it'd be great to get your help, Henry, on like volunteer coordination. I mean, we've got a ton of people coming for the Ethan Allen one and Mills Riverside, I guess, but the more people, the better, you know, it's a learning experience. And
Well, if you do the thing on May 1st, there's maybe like a whole May Day planting a tree.
yeah, I know in the
thing.
past, the district has done like one like Earth Day planting on the 22nd or like carried it to the 23rd of April. But usually around that time, late April, early May is when we try and get them on for spring.
Be interesting to track the beaver stuff, and then maybe if you have good data on that, you could present to the Watershed Forestry Partnership.
Yeah,
be
yeah,
great,
yeah,
yeah.
We're thinking that's why we talked to the Intervale. They gave us a quote, and I was talking to Ben Rogers, who's the guy there that would lead the crew, and he was, you know, he's got all these, you know, data metric ideas of keeping track of, you know, which trees are you know getting affected, which trees are the beavers leaving alone, like are the beavers going more than 50 feet from the river to take trees, like there's all these little things to, you know, identify with beaver behavior, and I think it'll be cool. Yeah, that's
Very cool.
I've heard of a number of these, like, this big push for planting out the riparian zone since the floods, and like beavers just thinking it's a hors d'oeuvre plate,
Yeah.
right off the bat.
Yeah, we also talked about like tubing them, but it's just a lot of plastic and like
A lot of expense.
yeah, a lot of expense. So we're gonna the plan is to to use like chicken wire fencing on like a section of trees, and then like painting with a latex paint and sand mix, and then doing like a mixture of both. But I don't think any more than like 100 to 150 trees.
Is the Beaver spot the New Farms for New American spot?
No, the
It's
Beaver
not.
Spot is a clean water service provider project, which is in Shelburne. The New Farms for New American spot is at the Ethan Allen Homestead. It's
Okay.
just Winooski Valley Parks District land. Yeah, it's a little confusing, but
Yeah.
but it's really, really awesome land, like right on the main stem of the Winooski.
Thank you. I just do want to do a time check. We're at
Yeah.
like 11:10 and we gotta end by noon.
Yeah,
So just
Okay.
a heads up to people.
We can go pretty quick for our section. I don't know what you want us to be done for, but you can quick to go.
Yeah, so we're just gonna go over our locally led applications for 2024, 2025, and talk about our working groups this past week. So please correct me if I'm wrong with 2024. There's a lot of information that's changing on this. So this was the riprap along the main stem that we had 3 applicants for. So NRCS said 3 projects were guaranteed the 900 series for engineering funding. And right now we have 2 that are interested in going forward with engineering and design, and 1 that's still unsure about moving forward with the process in general. The group also has a waiver from NRCS to a 12-month waiver to implement the practice. So they're still good on that.
And a note about that, Karen and I have been hands off with this planning process for the riprap projects. It's all been in the hands of NRCS, so it's been handled by Jace Goyu from the office. He's been going to the meetings, he's been having conversations with the producers, but we really haven't had too much of a role in that process. For 2025, that's quite different. You can speak to that. You crafted that simple.
Yeah, so this one, we are still in the beginning stages of it. We have 8 applicants for it, and we're currently working through the ranking process for these applicants. We went to visit one of the producers last week, and it was a really good conversation with them. They seem like they have a really big project in mind, kind of a 5-year, would you say, planting project. So that's probably one of the bigger projects of that group, and the rest are smaller producers.
So that's really cool. This is
Oh, no,
but
please.
this is a producer right out of Berlin, right down the road. And he has quite a bit of land. He has a nursery there. He's growing lots of trees, but fruit trees and nut trees. Just fruits? Yeah. Anyways, lots of trees, but along the streams to his property that have changed over time, there are no buffers. So it's a large parcel with a lot of opportunity and a very interested landowner. So we went to a meeting with NRCS. NRCS came, Sarah Jansen from this office, the senior planner here, came with us. We had a conversation about CSP and EQIP in the form of the local fund pool for the EQIP section. And it was really great because it turned into a much larger EQIP idea than just I shouldn't say just, but then a 1-year planting project. So it's probably going to be spread over 5 years because the breadth of the project. And NRCS applications or NRCS contracts can generally go for 5 years. So it's nice that we're not asking this landowner to try and rebuffer miles of stream in 1 year. And it's great because it sets the framework for like a 5-year project with this landowner. And then it can tie into CSP with their other concerns that they're having, but Sarah is probably going to take the lead on that because she's a great expert in CSP for the whole central zone. She's really handled that. She started in Middlebury doing all the CSP there and then moved to Berlin and really wears that hat for a lot of the planners in this area. So we might not help too much with the CSP, but we're very excited to be part of this EQIP idea for them. And we are excited to see that expanded so much. And then for the other 7 applicants that we have, it seems like a lot smaller projects. They're not producers, they're small landowners. And they're small riparian projects for the most part. So we think that won't be as big of a lift to the planning, which is good for us because NRCS is requiring different, it doesn't apply to local fund pools, but for the 5 EQIP applications we're also managing, they have restructured how they are doing their ranking process. So you have to look at the whole farm entity and every resource concern that's available versus like just looking at resource concerns that are applicable. So it's a huge lift for planners, and it was just announced 2 weeks ago. So it's a little stressful on us for those 5 EcoBops, but then we also have the locally led applications as well. So we were eased when we heard that most of our applicants are going to be more straightforward than this one client in Berlin or applicant in Berlin. But to that note, there's also conversation surrounding just like the planning of these projects, because Lucas has already vocalized how it's hard to get stock, right, for the planning projects that are happening this spring. As a planner, I have the liberties of planning these for next year rather than trying to make people do them all this spring, which is totally unachievable, right? Because that ranking doesn't happen until April, and then I'd be asking all these people to plant trees
30 days later.
30 days later. That's ridiculous, right? So I can push it out a year, which is better for everyone, I think. And especially for this 5-year project, that's the only way that would be possible. So
So we're looking at spring 27 for these
Yeah.
plantings. Okay, cool.
yeah, that's when I'm gonna start planning
Got
the projects. Like the one producer, it'll be 2027 through 5 years later.
Sure, right.
But for all the others, I think they'll all happen in 2027. Because they have to happen within 12 months after they sign the contract, right?
Got it.
So there's a 12-month waiver that can happen too. But like I've been talking to planners in Middlebury, and they're like, don't plan all your stuff for the spring. That's ridiculous. Give yourself time. So we will plan them for next year, and they will be better plantings with that much more planning that goes into them, because I don't know how planting plans work for Quisp or for these projects, but we have to abide by strict planting plan procedures through NRCS. So there's not very limited. They don't even tell you exactly what you can or can't plant. Well, they tell you what you can't plant, but they don't tell you what you can plant. So you have to run these through the state biologists for the most part to make sure you're not doing anything drastically wrong for like genetic drift, things like that, right? They don't want you planting rare species, things like that, invasives. It all makes sense. But then in addition to that, there's also this idea of like they've restructured the planting process for NRCS. So all has to be done with a dipple bar now instead of digging a hole. So that's a change as well due to the archaeology constraints at the state office level. So they have now restricted planting happening within the above the plow layer, right? They don't want you digging below the plow layer, and you could do that with a shovel. So there's lots of nuances to these planting plans through NRCS, and I'm very happy to know I have a year to think about that before just a month.
And it seems like at least the one producer we talked to was also happy to have some time to get his, well, he wants to plant his own stock, so.
Which is totally
it's
fine.
cool.
And he
Yeah.
can grow his own stock, and we can give him that time to grow it, which is
Nice.
great. Because like we've talked about before, NRCS is a reimbursement, right? So these people have to shell out the money for the trees, and then they get reimbursed for it down the road once NRCS makes those payments to them. So it could be a big lift for some landowners, and some people might cancel when it comes down to the nitty gritty of seeing how much they're going to have to shell out for a planting project that they might not actually be committed to. So we have 8 applications right now. They all get ranked by March 27th. Which is a huge lift because I just got my computer like 3 weeks ago.
That's right. Yeah.
And I just got access to CD last week, which is the planning software.
Yeah.
So it's been a wild ride, but we're doing okay. And then for 2026, I don't know if you want to talk about that at all.
Yeah.
It's been really exciting to think about what's to come.
Yeah, we had our 2 local work meetings last week. 2 different turnouts, but both really good conversations. The Richmond one is what you see on the bottom. We had just a like diverse audience. We had partners, we had people from Charlotte Wildlife Refuge, like people from conservation commissions. Like it was a really good diverse turnout. And I'll talk about a little what the priority surfaced, but we do have the survey live through February. I just put the date of February 16th to get it done. If you would like to fill it out so we can have your input as well, that would be really great. We have talked with NRCS for an extension, so that might be happening, but we're still waiting to see if they're for the action plan. We're still waiting if we're gonna get that. And the surveys currently, we have partners sharing it. We're gonna get it on Vermont Veg and Berries. We're still taking all these responses and seeing what is coming through. But for the working groups, the priorities that came up were invasive species, water quality, and solutions that we talked a lot about grazing management as a whole system to solve these problems. And as we're getting more responses, I'm seeing more about grazing management.
And like that ties into like, yeah, one of the people in the audience was Danny Pete, which I don't know if you all have interacted with, but he was he was a dairy farmer from Richmond and then became a planner in the Wilson office, trained me, full transparency, as my senior planner when I was in Middlebury. So we had a working relationship, but I asked him if he'd come to the meeting to vocalize his opinions because he lives in the town of Richmond. He came and he brought up this concept of fencing out hydric soils, right? This idea of CREP plus, but it all could fall into a grazing management system as well. And it's a really interesting concept because if you look at the landscape, you see a lot of hydric soils that are being grazed pretty intently. This is just an idea of like how it could feather into a ranking question. Like, are you fencing out hydric soils? Like, then you might get a little higher up points in the system. But it's not this idea of like making farmers fence out hydric soils, right? It's just an idea of like, if they want to, like there might be some opportunity for that. And it's really cool because NRCS doesn't pay for fence. They pay for resource concerns. They pay for like poor grazing. And you can combine all that in this idea of a grazing management system. So a prescribed grazing system that will get them improved like grazing as a whole. But all that ties into like infrastructure for like water systems, water tubs, like all that. All of it goes into a grazing plan, right? You can't just say you have to do prescribed grazing. Here's some funds. Like you have to give them the whole infrastructure that goes with it. So this is going to be a big lift for the district if we choose to pursue this through the local work groups, because full transparency, like there's a lot of good grazing experts through UVM Extension, and one of those grazing experts came to our Richmond meeting, which was great. He didn't speak much. Yasha Peck. Yeah. He came and it was great. He didn't talk, but he was there. Oh, he said one thing about making sure we include water in a grazing plan, which is critical.
You have to speak directly to Yasha.
Yeah. He's pretty quiet. But it was nice to have his input. But full transparency, like it's really hard for NRCS to get grazing plans off the ground because they have one grazing expert at the state office. And there's a lot of grazing plans that get funded. Yeah. So that's a huge lift for that one person. So we're hoping to partner with UVM Extension on this stuff, like be able to get things off the ground. There's Carly Bass out of Middlebury, there's Yasha, there's other people besides just NRCS that also can sign up on these plans.
And there's other people who've done this work on a contract basis around the state, or used to. I'm a little out of date, like Sarah Flack is.
Yeah, she's been on other pasture and Haven courses.
Anyway. But one just specific question, having served on the state tech committee for a lot of years, like, as I recall the process, this seems like a compelling thing to have extra points, for fencing off hydric soils. But I think someone would have to go to the EQIP subcommittee and, make that pitch. And, before it goes to the state tech committee, I mean, there's a whole process to get ranking criteria changed, and I recall having that conversation once a year, right?
So I think the difference is between this is a local fund pool and that's EQIP. So there's the whole EQIP pot of money, but this would be a local fund pool.
Okay,
and we get to craft our questions.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's even better.
Yeah.
So
that's how it all like plays. If I was trying to talk about EQIP ranking questions, I'd go straight to Heather Wetstein.
Yeah. Yes.
But like in terms of like a local fund pool, I believe we crafted those questions.
Okay, well that's great. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, no
Just
problem.
thinking about
there's a lot of players. Yeah, but anyways, that was a cool concept.
Yeah,
I don't know
think
if
it's a
they'll
great
come to the
concept.
top, but it was neat to see. And you can feather invasive species and all that too.
Yeah.
Which Dan brought up. So
Heather and I have been taking a lot of classes on just pasture and grazing, kind of learning our own and like seeing all these farms and going out, and for it to all tie together has been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Are there farmers with a bit more like disposable income that are using electrical fencing? Is that
there's a practice through the NRCS payment rates for e-collars
Okay.
I don't
That's what I
think
was, yeah,
it's,
'cause I was
um,
reading about that. and I
Oh,
was
so
like,
you
I wonder
didn't
if
mean
we're-
electric fence, you mean like.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
yeah, like,
Most farmers
not,
are
not,
going-
not
yeah.
electric fencing, what was it?
Like a
the
dog
buzz,
collar.
yeah,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Geo,
So-
yeah, like, yeah,
geo
right.
fencing.
I
Not
went
electric.
to training up in Franklin County at Doseleaf. They're doing e-collars.
Huh.
They have a bunch of YouTube videos, which is really cool. They got a grant to get those e-collars.
Wow.
And they're doing
Yeah,
a
I've never heard
pilot
of it
project.
before. That's
They're
interesting.
really cool operation, really great people.
Yeah.
But it was put on by Franklin County NRCD. I popped to that. Really neat. The payment rate does not compensate for the collars. So they would have to either,
Yeah, because I can assume it's pretty expensive.
yes, it is very expensive. There's a planner in Middlebury trying to get e-collars for someone in Addison County, and they're running into quite a bit of trouble with that.
Conceptually, it makes sense. But
If you're in a good
Financially,
service
maybe.
area,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, because they have to get signal to the collars.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it all ties into the payment rates, right? And there's nothing to say that we couldn't apply for e-collars through this local fund pool if that's yes, it's all in it.
cool.
So, because once you open up grazing, you open up so many different practices because they all have to go into a grazing plan.
One limitation I foresee for us is that last year Travis limited districts to 5 practices per proposal. And you could get an exemption if you could justify it, which we did. So that will be something we'll have to do. Say, hey, we probably need more than 5 practices, but they're like themed, it's not just like checking, like we're gonna do all the practices, right?
Yeah, it's not like there are 5 different things. It's all under grazing. And I think
Those are sub practices under grazing. I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. So
So
it's like this
probably
idea of
fine then,
grazing,
yeah.
I think would be fine. I think we want to do grazing, like pollinator plantings and
Sure,
like all
yeah.
these different like land management techniques or like patch cuts. He might be like, whoa, that's a lot. But
We'll see,
grazing,
yeah.
well, he still could say that too, right? But then we'll go back to the drawing board, I guess.
So, but yeah, it's looking good.
Yeah, it's exciting. Sounds-
Hopeful for 3 years in a row with the fun pool. That would be amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna be cool, but I guess we took.
That's okay. There's a lot to share. Last questions before I talk about my stuff.
Is your survey going through February 14th all the way through the month? 16th? Are you guys tabling at the Nova Winter Conference?
It's a weekend, isn't it? I should go.
What would
14th
it-
and 15th?
Can you guys get paid to go table there? Do you need to get hooked up with?
For the survey specifically,
Well, no, because
no, right?
it's an amazing opportunity for an expose for the district at the biggest agricultural event in Vermont.
Yeah, so like,
Blah, blah, blah. But also the survey would be sort of a vehicle to get the conversation.
well, Exewood could pay for attendance at the conference. That's not an issue.
It's just my birthday weekend.
No.
But I could go. Yeah.
I could help table so you didn't have to get stuck there. That would be fun.
Yeah, we can check.
Let's have a
with John.
conversation.
Yeah, sorry. We can, we
Yeah,
can
not
touch.
too
I
late to
talk
get,
about
I'd be willing to
yeah.
help.
It's a great conference to go to.
I'd love to go.
I've been in previous years when I was farming and it's been really, yeah.
Yeah.
it's really
I
great.
never have had the opportunity to go, so it might be a really good use of time.
So let me just ask, locally led 2024, does that have a title? Are we calling it anything in particular?
We call it like main stem,
Winooski,
main stem Winooski, bank stabilization,
Richmond?
Richmond,
Okay,
any of those things. It's
So it's fairly limited in geographical.
Correct.
scope.
that is correct. Yeah.
And same question on 25. Is that, you mentioned Berlin?
It's
Thinking-
throughout the whole
Yeah,
watershed.
whole
There's
district, whole
The
district.
whole
Whole
Winooski
district.
drainage?
Yeah. Well, whole district.
I don't
district.
remember where each applicant is from, but I know they're not all from the same town.
Yeah.
Okay, so more widespread, but very specific to riparian area
That
plan.
was the goal, yeah.
And upper stream, I mean, smaller.
That was the
smaller-
goal.
That was
That's
the
the
goal.
hope,
I don't
yeah.
know if that, I
Actually
can't say
played
if
out,
that's
yeah.
actually what happened. I need to get into CD, do some mapping,
Yeah.
look at these projects again.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I think some might be on like the Mad River, which is like
Okay.
a bigger drainage
Yeah,
than
yeah,
a
yeah.
headwater, right? But like not the
Yeah.
main stem. I don't
Yeah.
think we have anything direct
It's
on the
yeah,
main stem.
it's fine. We had just we were gonna rank our questions ranked higher,
Yeah.
low order stream plantings, but it doesn't matter
Yeah.
because we have
Enough
the
money.
plantings and the money will work out
Right.
such that nobody's
Right.
gonna not get money, right?
That's the hope, yeah.
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 Right. That's the hope.
With
And
a
so
5-year
it's,
planting
it's
plan.
too early
We'll say it's a lot of
to
money. Yeah.
know whether it's focused geographically or more
There's at least one in
2026.
Heinsberg and at least one in Berlin, so they're pretty.
For 26.
Oh, for 26,
For
I guess.
26, yeah, we don't know.
We don't-
haven't
okay,
seen
yeah.
any applicants yet because we don't have a pool yet.
Well, yeah, we,
Yeah.
we can define our pool to be geographically restricted or not, and that's up to us. And I think if we go with the grazing direction, probably it would not be geographically restricted. That's, I think, the first inclination. Yeah, I think that one, the 24 one, was just because those farmers specifically had reached out to Cat and were like, "Can we do this?" And we had nothing else on the table, and so we set up a local fund pool to do it.
Yeah.
It was kind of an odd situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just based on people I like personally think would be interested in the 2026 one, they would be all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, just, I mean, something that we have talked about, to the extent that we can take an opportunity to focus geographically. I'll let you define what that means, but to the extent that we can focus some of this work geographically, would it give us the ability for Lucas to then be able to do his work in that same
Yeah.
geographic area? Is there potential work for dam removal, greater education and outreach? Just, a lot of our work, we tend to be 10 miles wide and 2 or 3 inches deep. So if there's an opportunity to focus geographically, could we, tighten that 10 miles wide up a little bit to focus more deeply? I don't know.
Yeah, and I'll say that the kind of the hot spots right now, it's like the Heinsberg area, the like Jericho Underhill area,
Yeah.
and Washington Orange area, and then like Callis, Woodbury, Cabot. Those are kind of like what we're doing. It was like we all kind of have projects like dam
Yeah.
removals and some plantings and some ag work kind of in those areas. Those are the hot spots right now. So maybe we just do intensive outreach in those areas, right? If we don't restrict it geographically, but we just try to hit those areas hard. We'll see. Yeah.
See how it,
Yeah.
see how it goes. Yeah. Okay.
Just think about our producers were sitting there flopped all over.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Especially for a project like that when you need quite a bit of land to do that.
Okay. Is that it?
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. I want to give a quick rundown of kind of where we're at with granting this year. So this is everything on here is since July of 2025. That's the one. Yeah, it's the next sheet and should be the next sheet in the packet. It's a spreadsheet with no pictures, unlike Tara and Lucas and Heather. They're themed by category here. So the top ones are the municipal ones, and they're mostly RPCs. So that first one, Basin 3 reached out to us to do some project verification and requested her a quote, which we gave, and then they gave the award to somebody else. So that's what that first one was. We have a very small amount of the Otter Creek in our district in Charlotte and Heinsberg. And we have done some plantings there. The next two are together. So the two Basin 5, so there's this program through the CRISP where you can adopt old projects and maintain them, and that also counts towards reaching the phosphorus goals. So Lucas and I went back through our records and put together all the plantings that we've done and figured out where they were geographically, and have been working on applying to maintain those plantings, like remove invasives, replant trees that need replanting, that kind of stuff. We haven't walked down this road yet with Basin 8, but we have started doing it with Basin 5. They gave us some project development money to go out there and see the sites and see how bad a condition they were in. And then they've given us money last week, I think, to formally adopt 2 sites, one on Shelburne near Shelburne Vineyards and one near Essex High School on the Indian Brook. So we will be maintaining those sites until the end of their design life, which is the end of this summer. And then the hope is to, if they're still in good condition, you can renew the design life with DEC for another 10 years. And then we could get paid for the next 10 years to take care of these sites. So it's a good source of like long-term, it's not a ton of money, but long-term funding for the district to maintain these sites.
Yes.
So there's only 2 in Basin 5. There's like 10 sites in Basin 8 in the Winooski that we could potentially
Yeah, there's a
adopt.
4-acre planting in Waterbury on Guptill Road.
So that's going to be the next step. We have a meeting with Basin 8, I think next week, to talk about this, about how to make this work. So that's what that is. Next thing down is Rethink Runoff. Our contract with them ends this year, and so we will have to reapply to continue that work. Anticipated this spring that RFP will come out. We are working with Basin 7 on trying to develop some forest road projects in the town of Westford. So they have a town forest. They've logged that town forest. Their forest management plan has logging in the future. And so there's money to maintain those logging roads. We went out on Rich's property with Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission to look at some of his roads in his forest. And this is the same idea, just in the town of Westford. So right now we're just in project development. The snow's on the ground, so we can't go up there. We didn't get the money fast enough, so Lucas and I will be going up in the springtime to look at those roads and see if there's any money to be had there and any projects. Then Lucas already talked about his Cheesecake Factory road planting, so you can see there. That's the next one. That was $30,000, so a good chunk of money for a pretty big planting. The next section here are the LCBP grants that we've applied to this year, and there are a lot of them. The first two are the waterfront access grants. So we submitted one on our own for the Walter Kelly access in Middlesex, and then we ghost wrote one for the Ice House access in Milton that the town of Milton submitted because we were only allowed to submit one per organization. Both of them got funded, which is great.
Awesome.
So yeah, it is awesome. We'll be working with Milton once they get their work plan all set up and whatnot to manage that project, which was the kind of the agreement we had with them. We'd write the grant for them if they would let us manage it afterwards. Then we took a bunch of L's on the next ones. And so we tried to get Rouleau Pond Dam out in Williamstown. So we wrote a pretty big grant for that, which they did not give us. Then some work on the Lake Iroquois LWAP follow-up projects. That's the next two, the Shadow Lane and Tim Hunt, which is like an infiltration basin basically on his property. Neither of those were funded. Basically, they thought that the road was not long enough to justify that amount of money, and Tim Hunt's was not impactful enough to justify the money we were asking for it. The Shadow Lane group we've been working with since I was hired to try to get the money to fix their road. It's a super steep road that runs literally right into the lake and just dumps sediment into the lake.
No ditching.
Nothing.
It's steep. Yeah.
And it's a very steep road. So we're going to regroup with them when I come back in March to try to figure out a different funding source for them, or maybe scale the work back so that it's more palatable for LCBP, something, right? I applied for some dam removal scoping in Colbyville and Waterbury. That was not funded, mostly I think because of the location of the dams. We did apply for the Unified Stormwater, is basically StormSmart. They're changing up the program a little bit. So it's not, you basically apply now, not specifically for StormSmart, but you can apply for StormSmart, Lakewise, and Streamwise all together. And you kind of determine how many of each of those you want to do. And so Lucas and I put that together. We plan to do, remind me,
it's, yeah.
It's
I think
10
it's 10 Lakewise.
No, it's 10 StormSmart.
10 StormSmart.
Maybe 5 Lakewise and 5 Streamwise or something.
I think so.
That's like the kind of the breakdown, more or less. With the intention is to do the Lakewise assessments in Mallets Bay, because that's an area of concern for DEC. Lucas is going to do some of the streams in the Burlington area.
Where we've already been monitoring through the
La Rosa program. So. And then for StormSmart, it'll just be wherever we go, district wide.
That's totally an achievable deliverable.
We think so, yeah, for sure. So they did fund that one, so that's great. Then we have 2 pending grants with LCBP, an organizational capacity one for new computers, because those are falling apart, which is, we haven't heard yet. And then an education outreach to continue our work with Yes Tomorrow. So Yes Tomorrow, we are currently working with to develop courses for stormwater installation, to help road crews and whoever else wants to learn how to properly implement stormwater BMPs. That grant is coming to an end this summer, and we're hoping to continue that work. So this is basically like a follow-up on that. Still waiting to hear from them. Next one. So still talking about Rouleau Pond Dam. I applied, and since we didn't get the LCBP money, so I applied to Watersheds United, and they gave us a partial award of $375,000. We're maybe $150,000 away from that project going. It's going to be like an $800,000 project, and we've cobbled together, $600,000 or something. And we're just looking for the last little bit. they've changed the policy on co-funding for the QUISPs, and so I'm hopeful that maybe the QUISPs will be interested in funding this now. Before, if they co-funded a project with LCBP, they had to split the phosphorus credits, so they're basically none of the QUISPs wanted to do anything with LCBP. And there's a draft guidance now from DEC saying that the QUISPs can claim all of the phosphorus for co-funded projects. So the hope is that that will change this
Right, and that could
situation.
be pretty compelling if it's the last money in.
Agreed.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. That's still draft guidance, so
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. But I am still hopeful that dam might come out this summer. Next one, Simmons Foundation. So this is a kind of a weird project. I was approached by someone who works for UVM Extension, who's working on sort of how to improve riparian buffers at Shelburne Farms. Jess Rubin, which you may have anyone may have crossed paths with. But so we're just kind of like her, us, White River, and Bennington went in together on this. Like, it's basically a scientific research grant to see how fungal inoculation can change how buffers function.
It's big, like grazing, mushrooms, coppicing, integrated project at Shelburne Farms, right?
That's
All
hers.
these
That's
different practices.
Jess's. So
Oh, okay.
the proposal is a little bit different because it has to be more like research spun rather than pragmatic.
Yeah.
But it's in the pre-application phase. We put 5 million is like the lowest of the awards, and it's for like 7 years. So it's a long-term grant. They'll tell us in March whether they want us to submit a full application or not. We'll see what happens. But it seemed like an interesting opportunity. Next one, Envirothon. That contract will also end, or it's not really so much the contract ending, is that the committee has decided that they'd like to expand the scope of work that the coordinator does to include like raising money. And so they're going to put out a new RFP, or at least the plan is for them to put out a new RFP for that, probably spring or summer after the marathon is done this year. We will definitely put in an application to continue to be the coordinator. And I think we've done a really good job this year, and it will be a strong application. But just that is coming down the line. DEC has moved all its LWAPs to a retainer contract. Instead of just like individual RFPs for individual lakes. And so we put in the retainer contract, and hopefully in the coming months, they'll reach out to us to submit bids for projects. That's basically how you get your name in the system, you get pre-approved, and they can reach out to you to do projects. You can put in them bids for those specific projects. So we put in so that we can do this basically, so that they'll reach out to us. Trees for Streams, we already talked about those two from NRCC which were awarded to Lucas. The VHCB was charged by the state to do this Act 59, the 30 by 30 planning work. They're holding a bunch of listening sessions and are asking for help with that. They're offering $4,000 to organize listening sessions. And we plan to put in an application to host one of those listening sessions. That is due Friday, I think. So it'll be done today or tomorrow. It's going to be a little shy of $4,000, and most of that money is going to be stipends for the participants. And then the last three are ag. So Karen Heather worked with 2 farmers to put in SEEP grants, which are the 2 bottom ones. Which we're waiting on hearing. We haven't heard from
I
yet.
heard from the producer I assisted, and unfortunately he was not funded, but he's very excited to reapply next year.
Okay,
And he was asking for help again. So,
excellent.
we're gonna have a meeting with Agency of Ag to see how we can help him in this process for next
Perfect.
year. We've
Is-
had multiple meetings with Agency of Ag, but it's clear this producer is really just getting off the ground, and they might be a little nervous
Got
to fund a big piece of land for him right now. But
Understandable.
they have funded other projects through BNP at his homestead, so we'll see what happens.
Cool. Is that farmer 1 or 2? The 42,053. You don't remember maybe.
I think mine was 42.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think,
so I'll say 0.
yeah, the other one I'm unsure of. Yeah, I was actually thinking about giving him a call just to see, but I've been trying to look at the farmer database to see if he got awarded anything, but
Haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm just curious, quickly. So those are funds that would go directly to the farmer. but
Correct.
Is there any money that covers the cost of your time working with farmers? I think
Absolutely.
it's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
see it.
excellent,
Okay, so
yeah.
that's great.
That covers the grant writing. They get
Yeah.
the full, These are just equipment
Yeah,
grants,
right.
so they get the full amount
Right.
to purchase said equipment.
Yeah, but then there's, I think it's awesome that you're able to work. Is VHUB, is the Farm Viability Program still also doing a grant funding that's water quality related?
Yes, and there was a applicant that, not an applicant, but there was a person that talked to us at a training at Green Mountain Girls Farm, and we wanted to help them. You had a,
Maury,
no,
Oh, someone who was at the,
at the event we were
Jan-
on.
Jana Chat Acres.
So she reached
Yeah.
out to us about doing something for a piece of equipment that was not funded through SEEP. And then we led her to do the viability grant. She was very well versed in grant writing,
Yeah.
so did not need our assistance, but we
Right.
guided her to that program.
Yeah.
If it proves that time and time again, this producer's not getting funded through SEEP, that could be a viable option for them as well.
Right, so that program's ongoing and you have
Yes.
connections there to that
Yes.
program.
Yes.
It would be great if the staff there know that you can work with farmers, because they could also refer farmers to you. Like in the
Yeah,
past, I don't
we-
know if they've done that because there wasn't
The
such
one-
an active ag program.
The
in
producer
system.
that I worked with, Agency of Ag, gave
Yeah.
them to us
Right.
to help out in the last couple days.
And we sat in, at least I sat in, I think the other two, sorry, on a meeting held by VHCB with the rollout of the
Mhm.
program for the viability program. So we were on like a video call. So like
Great.
they know that we're
Good,
interested
good,
at
good.
least.
Just think again, the networking.
Yeah,
Building the relationship.
I do think that coordinator Betsy is leaving her position. Now it's vacant, so we might have to foster that relationship again. But
Yeah.
alas, they know we're interested,
Yeah.
or at least Betsy does. So.
Yeah, great, good. Thank you.
Cool. And then the last one there is the third from the bottom, the Ag CWIP. Our request was $420,000 for 2 years. That includes like 0.6 FTE for each of them for each year, as well as we proposed a 0.5 FTE additionals, like an additional part-time ag person to do a lot of the outreach that neither of them have time to do because they're doing
Yeah.
so much technical assistance
Right,
now.
right.
So we're hopeful that that will get funded in its entirety. If they have to reduce it, I'm guessing that half-time position is what will go,
Right.
and that's understandable.
And then to note that we're hoping that we can get leniency on the deliverables that we said we're gonna
Sure.
produce for this part-time person.
Correct, yeah, so we had, along with proposing a budget, we had to propose deliverables for ourselves, and we proposed a lot of outreach deliverables for this person, and if they cut this person, then
Yeah.
presumably they'll cut the deliverables
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
Um,
So we're just
Yeah.
hoping that we don't
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
do it all with 2 people and not 3.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. Oh, I don't think so.
That would be unreasonable.
That would be unreasonable, I
Yeah.
feel as well.
Yeah.
But yes, so, yeah, that's the update. There's, I think,
Yeah.
another 3 grants going in before I leave, paternity leave. And
You all
then
have been very busy.
we have been, but yeah, so totals 7.5 million requested, 570 awarded. That if you minus the 5 million, we've asked for about 2.5 million.
Yeah.
In funding, so, and we've been awarded 10 awards, which is great,
With more pending.
with more
Yeah,
pending.
that's awesome.
Wow. Well done.
Yeah,
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's a team effort for sure,
Yeah.
so,
clearly. Oh. Yay, team.
yeah.
Um,
I propose we skip to executive session
Sure.
just for time reasons.
okay,
There is an updated district map in there in your packet if you'd like to look at it.
Made by
This one.
VACD, right?
What?
Made by Matt.
Yeah, the new GIS person for VACD. Yep.
Yeah.
This is the correct map.
That's the correct map
Mhm.
based on our founding document.
Well,
What's,
yeah.
what's
Oh.
different? I
They,
guess.
they basically gave us a polygon of delineating district areas. Then I took that polygon and I just made it into a GIS map.
Yeah, the difference is that we currently think, on our maps, we currently show that we serve all of Orange County, which we don't.
right.
and-
All of Orange.
All
Yeah,
of
we are.
Orange, the town of Orange, thank you.
Oh.
That's like cut in half.
Okay,
That's really the only difference for us.
okay,
Uh,
because I
that's-
wasn't noticing. I was like.
Yeah,
what's
otherwise
the-
it's basically the same.
Okay.
And Moncton is below, which Moncton we don't technically serve. but
It just showed up on
technically
the map
showing up
there,
on the
so
map because
A little bit of an error.
Okay,
but
yeah.
It's okay.
Mountains, Addison County, yeah.
So the only thing that's really different between what we've been thinking about for years
Yeah.
and what this shows is
Orange.
orange,
The
half
town
of
of
orange.
Yeah, because the White River maps had showed
there.
that it's a watershed boundary in
Yeah.
all 3 of those towns, and the county documents don't show that. So, yeah, and I think there were there's now a statewide map, a new statewide map for all the districts, and there are some other districts that have had similar situations as us that have now been clarified. So,
Okay.
But it's very, very similar to what we currently believe.
What county is Williamstown?
Orange.
Orange,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Orange, yeah. Orange and Washington
Yeah.
and Orange. Yeah. Orange, Washington, and Williamstown are all our three
Yes.
Orange County towns.
So, this isn't official.
It's quasi-official.
Okay.
Claire sent it out to all the district managers
Okay.
as a draft, I guess. I haven't seen any comments by anybody on it.
So, I mean, at some point, the districts will notify Orange that this is what we believe to be.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to tell them. I feel like it's a more of a
No.
case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Maybe
The district in question is the White River District, and they
Correct.
know and are working on this version of the map. And are working in Orange
Yeah,
at that watershed boundary.
at the watershed boundary. And this one is like, it's not quite a watershed boundary. It's like a straight line instead of the squiggly line for the watershed, right? So, yeah,
But there's that big wetland that is
Big-
the headwaters right there for the White River.
right. So,
They're working there.
yeah, I can talk to Jennifer. I'm
Yeah.
sure at the next district manager meeting, this will come up. And we can figure out how we want to deal with that.
We can one producer.
Yeah, we have one producer in Orange and we can double check like on our email list and such if we're reaching out to people past that boundary and confusing them, and we can always like
Yeah.
clarify.
Okay.
Because I don't
Yeah.
think, we only have worked with one person in Orange and they're inside our boundary.
Okay.
No big deal for ag.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it came up because we had been approached by BNRC for a dam removal in Orange. And I was like, I'm not really sure if that's in our district or not. And so I asked Claire to draw this map so I could figure out where.
Is it?
It's not. It's like 100 feet into White River's territory. It's also not a project that I think Karina wants to move forward with any urgency either, but that's how it came up. Is it like, hey, are you interested in this project? And it's like, it's not in the Winooski, but we have plenty that's not in the Winooski watershed that's in our service area. So I was
Yeah.
just trying to figure out if
I'm
this was
just
one of those
curious.
cases.
No time to belabor this, but if it was a project that was compelling, and if the White River District doesn't do dam removals and didn't want to do it, it
Right.
seems like, couldn't there also be an agreement?
I
Like,
see there's no reason not
right,
to,
I mean,
yeah.
like the town's not
agreed.
gonna care, like the land.
No, the town I'm sure doesn't care. It-
So
Right.
you know, we shouldn't let this get
I-
in the way
I
of us
agree.
And
getting
the
work on
unions
the
with
ground
them.
done.
no,
Right.
I agree.
But, yeah,
No, I agree
Yeah.
that in places where we can collaborate or
Yeah.
work across
Work together
boundaries, I
or-
see no issues with it. I just want the
Yeah.
communication to be clear.
Yes.
that's all.
yes.
Because
clear
we have had some
communication.
issues with that in the past.
Yeah.
So,
The district managers definitely want a phone call, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
I do. I do
Yeah.
want a phone call.
yeah.
Yeah. Their communication is good.
Because with Jen, we would be going to all kinds of different districts doing the educational programs.
Right.
And so that was like the etiquette, is making sure to
Yeah.
invite everybody, ask permission and then. invite.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Makes sense.
hardly ever. a
In this
problem.
case, it's always better to ask for permission first.
Then forgiveness, yeah, there's one case.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yes. I think. Do we have someone has to move to go?
I will
into-
move to go into executive.
Oh, yeah, right.
session.
second.
Motion and second.
203-524-929.
Thank you. Are you gonna?
No, five,
Do you want
six,
to-
one, not five.
I have to do my expense report.
One digit off.
I'm tardy.
Either way, I'm
sorry
Yeah.
about
And then we have a meeting.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna put
yeah, I'll just-
the-
I'll text you right now.
So we're probably gonna take it to the conference room. Like, it's part
Or
of
the
that.
call.
Yeah.
I'm glad I tried it.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Calling in the cars.
I know sometimes we'll check both boxes.
Yeah.
Can I
Maybe
get
something
your
down the bottom,
permission
like-
to get your phone numbers from?
Let me know.
Yeah, they're on the website.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
but,
cool.
All right, I've got
they're
you.
Okay,
they're in my
wicked.
signature block too.
What?
It's in my signature block too.
Okay, wicked. Okay, cool. See you guys soon.
I didn't hear it.
Call me, let's hang out.
Okay.
We can talk about how to make.
Yeah, I live right down the road
What?
from Zen Barn.
I'll send it.
Thank you,
Yeah, invite
appreciate
me. I didn't hear what you said.
Can you hand this to Pat?
I want to come on Saturday. Wait, say what?
I live right down the road from Zen Barn. so-
This is for you. It
Yeah,
comes
no,
here.
I never
it's
been there. I was there on
NRCC.
Sunday. It was
It's
awesome.
for
I did
Claire.
It's for
trivia there.
Claire,
Oh, fun. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And mail from-
Those people are-
No, sorry, no mail for you, Rich.
Okay, that's
We're-
good.
we're getting out-
Land
council's
back up
getting out of
where
it,
that
too,
land
so.
is. I drive by all the time.
I also bailed.
but
I had a personal bank account one time and I bailed.
It's
once
slow
it
thing. I'll
stopped.
figure it out.
I had them
Keep you
since
in
they
the
were
loop.
Chittenden Bank.
Yeah,
I
okay,
switched to
well,
people,
yeah,
so I
cool.
switched to M&T and I bailed
Yeah, see you
after that.
guys. Good
Yep.
seeing you.
All right.
Yeah, thank
Glad
you.
to-
Yeah.
Lucas. Thank you, Pat.
See ya.
Bye,
Nice
Pat.
to see you, Pat. I'll do better next time, Pat, I promise.
Okay, so we are in all